Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market, where every day we discuss all things to do with the modern market, that is the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to hopefully make some money and keep some money that you make on the internet. Load up for discussion today. We have the Hyperliquid whale shorting the markets again, more than $200 million short on Bitcoin after denying insider Trump links, arguing the market is overextended. We'll be going through that argument. You're going to have to pick a side today, guys. Are we with the Hyperliquid whale short the market, or are we irresponsibly long as like the majority of crypto usually? We will pick a side, I think, as we discussed today. Trump on track to meet Xi in China in late October, needing to do a little bit of a Trump session again, since he's been tweeting a lot, reflecting a lot on this relationship with China. So we'll touch in there. We've also got Jerome Powell speaking today in Philadelphia, the first meeting since, or his first speech since the last one. We'll touch on that and what that might mean. And finally, Monad trading at 7 bill FDV on pre-markets ahead of the airdrop claim day today. Those are the headlines which we will discuss in just a little bit. We've got the usual general discussions on the market. As always, we've got Legendary and Rahim in the co-host seats with me today. We're ready to get into it. But before we do, just a reminder, friends, nothing that we say here is financial advice. This market is incredibly risky. We don't know anything for sure, unfortunately. So please do proceed with caution at all times. Exercise your own judgment. With that out of the way, Legendary, it's Tuesday. It's the 14th of October. How you doing, man?
GM, doing quite well. Excited for the show today. Excited for some more volatility in the markets this week and how to capture the most out of it. And excited for the gold price. So quite a good week.
Are you ready to pick a side later in the show? Hyperliquid whale or not? This is what the question that will be put to you.
I picked my side.
Okay, so you've picked your side. We will await your answer when we get to that section. Rahim, how's it going, my man? You ready for to pick your side as well, if you're in the whale side or not?
GM. Yeah, I'm feeling excited, to be honest. It's been like a good, like the last couple of days gave a lot of perspective with like markets crashing. I think like it kind of made me like I was having this discussion, I think privately with you. It just like made me realize that I need to just like focus a lot on my principles. Like I lost a bit of money on like getting liquidated during the big crash, but it wasn't the money that bothered me, but it was the idea that I've lost the track of like how valuable money really is. Like sometimes I like to put things into perspective. Like you think about it, there are like people that don't make like $100 a month. When you take that, like if you're so open to gambling, like maybe I should be doing like more like social service. Maybe I should be like giving, like if I'm so open to like, you know, like losing money, I might as well gamble with less money and maybe like do more with it. So it gave me like a lot of perspective, which I was like in some ways super happy about. And then it helped me think about, you and we've been talking about how I have this massive list of things I want to do, and this list keeps getting longer and longer. So it gave me perspective on I need to move some things on the list a bit higher, you know. So it's been good.
Well, you've got to, I know what you mean in terms of, you know, always wanting a little bit of perspective and making sure that we're kind of managing our risk in the appropriate ways. But you have to give us updates on this list of activities which you want to do, because that will be very interesting to as our traditional bear market indicators. When Legendary starts doing juice cleanses, I go to the gym, and then you're going to start, you know, doing all this stuff. If you start volunteering, I feel like that's going to be one of the indicators that it's over. It is over for now. We're very much, you know, behavioral psychologists and analysts here, and kind of taking learnings from the market. Is that okay, Rahim? Do you have any indication of when you're going to start volunteering yet?
I will let you know. It's not on my radar yet because I have way too much work to do, but I will definitely keep you updated.
Yeah. Okay, Rahim volunteering is next bear market indicator. There's a lot of bear market chat in the Telegram today. I'm enjoying hearing that expressed, to be honest, because I think the one point I made, I put this tweet out earlier today, and we'll get into the show in just a second. Otherwise, but I said this has been the most I've ever seen prominent people flip between bullish and bearish over and over again as price leads narrative. a lot of storytelling, what we would like to happen versus what is happening, and a lack of appreciation of how much time there is between now and the midterms. Obviously, maybe that's like expressing a little bit of my bearish sentiment in the very short term. But the main point that I'm trying to make is I think it's never been more important to think for yourself right now, especially where the incentives are stacked against you if you are consuming content on Twitter. Most traditional publications and shows, even like ourselves, although I don't think we certainly don't shy away from expressing bearish sentiment. It's not as good for a show to say that things are going to go bad. Like you're literally telling your audience to tune out, and maybe it's not going to be like what you expect. Whereas obviously, if you're going to put a title, it's like when you see all those YouTube thumbnails. This is the next coin that's going to 10x. Bitcoin's going to $1 million. Like those are the things that gets people's attention. Those are the things that gets people excited. So when you express an alternative thing, or to express an alternative sentiment is actually against the interests of media in general. And I just get the sense at the moment, underlying this as well, you've got the Twitter payouts where people are tweeting more than ever, I think. And the most pointless stuff that I've ever read. Like I'm finding Twitter very difficult to navigate. My long-term thesis is that actually Twitter is going to be unusable because people are getting motivated by the dollars and are posting nonsense. And then B, there's too much AI stuff and you can't even, it's not enjoyable to interact with not real people. And so, that's why our Telegram, I think, is an awesome spot. I think a lot of value will leak to private conversations in that respect. But yeah, I think right now, you got to think for yourself. That's just like something that's been going on in my head at the moment. A lot of people I respect and a lot of, well-meaning publications and podcasts, just as soon as we go up, they're bullish. As soon as we go down, it's bearish. It's just like absolute yo-yo at the moment. Curious for your thoughts. I went on a bit of a rant here. Ledge, check in with you, check in with Ryan, then we'll hit the main stuff.
Yep. Also want to then quickly hear from Oxio as his hand up as well. I agree with Take Off Tone's comment in the YouTube comments, which is a lot of multimillionaires legit shouldn't be here anymore. LOL. And I feel like this is like a lot of people say, they're staying here for the love of the game, which might be true to a certain extent. To another extent, it's probably like also a bit of addiction to winning, addiction to gambling in this space, which keeps you here. But I feel like this, together with the fact which you said, B, that so many people are like flip-flopping between I'm bearish now, I'm bullish tomorrow, and I'm just following essentially if the market's up, I'm bullish, if the market's down, I'm bearish. Basically, this is exactly what you're seeing, is leading to quite erratic behavior and increases volatility even more. So then for me, the question becomes, how to best capture this volatility in crypto markets. In traditional markets is easy. You have something like the VIX, which is the volatility index, which goes up in prices, volatility on the markets increases. And I feel like sort of our equivalent here is LPing to an extent, to basically profit from people like flip-flopping around all the time and just being able to earn yields on that. So for me, the question has become over the last couple of days, how do I, without even having to take too much directional risk, profit the most from this increase in volatility, which definitely will be here with us as long as Trump is president?
I like that question, actually. Rather than think about assets specifically and get pigeonholed into crypto because that's what we loved or that's what we like. And, some people still being pigeonholed into NFTs because that's what got them into space. Think about the specific scenario that is unfolding in front of us, which is, Trump is still in charge for X number of years. Therefore, we think that there will be more volatility. Therefore, in which ways does that get expressed the most? Like open up the question a bit more beyond like longing stuff on Hyperliquid all the time, because that has proven to be a pretty dangerous exercise. I think it's still part of your repertoire, but I just think now it's time to like think about some more assets. Obviously, we've been speaking about gold for a very long time. We've been getting into that in a bigger way over time. And maybe there's going to be other things, right? You've been talking about stocks a lot more as well. And we'll have to consider the alternative situations too. Rahim, want to check in with you. Oxy, your hand is raised. I'll come to you in a moment as well. Then we'll get into the main stuff. But I think it's an interesting conversation to start with here. Rahim.
Yeah, objectively speaking, I think the direction to take with volatile markets is definitely look into like LPing. That should be something that everyone should be looking at it. Take your time to understand it, how it works. I see Steve in the audience. A couple of months ago, I remember he was very vocal about that. This is something I've never done. He taught himself how to do it, and he's been doing it. So I think objectively, like speaking, other than the fact that you should be hopping into like way more conservative bets every once in a while, I think playing LP pools is definitely a better game during volatility rather than you trading perp. So that would be perhaps something to look into on certain levels when it comes to trading. And just like quickly coming back to the Twitter conversation you were having, yeah, it's something I know you and we've been talking about personally a lot as well. And it's funny because I did this podcast a couple of months ago where I was essentially saying the thing that I want to do with like the physical space that we're doing in Dubai is essentially build a mini Twitter. I want to show up there every day, just like on the timeline. You come, we chat. There'll be some disagreements. There'll be smaller rooms where people will be building. There'll be smaller DM like groups where people are like degenning whatever. You have good conversation, this and that, and just like do the same thing, but it's just at like a way more smaller scale. That instead of focusing that, oh, I need to add like 500 connections in like the next month, it's just focus on those 30 connections, kind of do that. So I'm pretty much on the board, especially with this whole like AI thing. It's getting out of hand. So I kind of agree with you on that.
Yeah, I like that. I'm less sure about LPing, to be honest. I think that's actually if you're learning, I think that's pretty hard. It's definitely something you got to be really switched onto the whole time. Like if you want to get involved, if you want to do it in especially in volatile times, you're going to need to be on it. Otherwise, you'll get wrecked with impermanent loss. So you definitely got to be switched on as you are learning that process. Oxy, welcome to the stage, man. What's your take here as we're kind of kicking off the conversation on what's going on at the moment?
Yeah, thanks. First, I want to just give you guys kudos on the Telegram and how great of a group you guys have curated. Like truly just a great group of people who have their own opinions. Like you're saying, they have original opinions with thesis, like information and a thesis to back that thought process. And it's not just an echo chamber of people saying we're going so much higher, like Twitter tends to be. Props to you guys on building such a great community. And that's where I go. Like if I want to have a good conversation with smart people on like, okay, what's going to happen next, or what do we think's going on here? Like that's where I go every single time. So huge props to you guys on that. And completely agree on the I love the liquidity pool conversation. I think it's a great way to farm both sides of the market while generating fees along the way. So I hear you though, B. It's tough to get used to, but once you get locked in and understand what's going on, I think it's a huge opportunity.
Like it. Appreciate you for the compliments. Just a reminder, since you are mentioning it, we are absolutely inundated with requests to get into the Telegram. It is completely free at the moment, and we've just got a huge backlog of DM requests. The official way to get in is to request via DM to the Modern Market Twitter account. There might still be like 50 requests that we're working through, letting a couple in each day. So apologies for the delay. We appreciate your request. We're going to get to it as soon as we can. We're just trying to, drip it in slowly so we don't like completely have a humongous influx. But we're looking forward to have you in there. We'll do that soon, as soon as we can. But it's one of the more exciting things that we've been building. There'll be more stuff planned for the Telegram soon. Probably not necessarily Q4 into 2026. We'll kind of share those thoughts as and when we are ready. But guys, it's a good way to start the show. Let's get into the main stuff as usual to get you up to speed with everything that's going on. I'm enjoying this conversation a lot at the moment because it feels like we're at like a juncture which people want to decide which way they want to go here. So let's start off with the majors as usual. We've got Bitcoin down a couple of percent to 111,000. We've got ETH down almost 4% to back, just dipped under 4K again. BNB is down 9%, underneath 1.2K. XRP is down 5% to $2.40. Solana is actually flat at 195, holding up the best. Whereas Hyperliquid is down 5% to $38. It might actually be a little bit more than that in terms of percent, but it's coming up as 5 for me. Getting into the meme coin side of things, pretty red day, to be honest. Doge is down 4, Pepe's down 4, Pengu's down 4, Pump's down 8. Damn, Pump is now, it's under 4 bill again. That's pretty significant. Down 40% on the week. Pretty savage drawback there. Trump's down 1% or 2. Bonk is down a couple as well. Filecoin's down 4. One thing I'm noting here, okay, look, you get the picture, guys. We're down across the board here. But these moves down are not that bad, all things considered, right? If ETH's down 4% and Filecoin's also down 5%, like, it's not that bad. I'm not saying that the others are as good as ETH, but I'm just noting that these moves down on meme coins aren't so much more pronounced than on the majors, at least for the ones that have not been on a huge uptrend. I think those are the ones that have retraced the most. Like if you've had a huge run recently, then you'll be down a bigger amount. Like I think for the 4 meme on BNB today is down 25% because that has ripped up recently. But for everything else, it's just been like in a range, going up a bit, going down a bit. It's kind of like, you know, the sell-offs happened. We'll just sell off a little bit in line with the rest of the market. So I think that's an interesting observation. Getting into the rest of the market, though, to get you up to speed, to get into the conversation we're going to be having today, we will be talking about the Hyperliquid whale shorting the market again, more than $200 million of Bitcoin short after denying insider Trump links and arguing that the market is overextended. A ton of really interesting tweets coming out from that account. We'll explain what you need to know and just the thoughts and which direction we're taking towards the end of the show when we get there in legendary section. Trump on track to meet Xi in China in late October, according to Besant. Powell will also be speaking in Philadelphia today. That's the first time he'll be speaking after the September Fed meeting. And finally, Monad is trading at 7 bill FDV on pre-markets ahead of the airdrop claim day today. So that could be a nice stimulus for the market, although we will dive into maybe some of those details. Rahim will take us through what we need to know there for Monad. That is that. Ledge, anything we need to know on the NFT side? How's things holding up over there? Any activity? What are you seeing?
Yeah, it is actually a bit of a green day for NFTs, but however, over the last 7 days, they are down significantly. So put that in context. If I say that Pudge is up 1%, 7.5 ETH floor, they are still down 24% over the last 7 days. Apes up 6% on the day, down 11 on the week. And this picture continues for basically all major collections. Moonbirds up 1.5 on the day, down 13 on the week. Azuki up 5% on the day, down 17 on the week. So a bit of a green day, but still major sell-off over the last 7 days.
Okay. Good stuff. In other news, Mega ETH tweeted big week yesterday. We like those tweets. Maybe something token related coming soon, we hope. BMNR bought Bitmine, which is Tom Lee's ETH buying vehicle, bought another $839 million of ETH, taking holdings to more than 3 million ETH. That was responsible for the big move up in ETH, and I think we've since moved down from there. Bitcoin DApp Metaplanet falls below the MNAV of 1 for the first time. I feel like that is quite significant. And Tau Synergies, a BitSensor treasury company, raises $11 million in a private financing. Kalshi and Polymarket record $1.4 billion trading month, which is pretty big for the prediction markets. BNB announces $45 million reload airdrop to those who lost money on memes on BNB in the last few days. That's pretty interesting. Equity perps go live on trade.xyz on Hyperliquid. I believe this is the offering by Unit, who are now giving people the opportunity to real-time access global markets, 24/7 liquidity on perps for stocks. And then finally, a couple other bits. Farcaster announces 10% deposit bonus for funds up to 5K in the House of Doge. The corporate arm of Dogecoin will go public through a reverse takeover with an esports company. With that out of the way, that's the roundup to get you up to speed with everything you need to know. Before we get into the main stuff, we're going to be talking that Hyperliquid whale now. Kind of positioning, which side are we going to take? Are we short the market with the whale, or are we thinking that they've got it wrong? And then we'll do a little bit of Trump, China, and talk Monad to close off the show today. But before we get there, Ledge, anything catching your attention around the rest of the market?
Yeah, that BNB news is interesting, right? On the one hand, we had this massive news which we covered yesterday of Binance on the exchange side compensating users for the mess up in pricing of wrapped Binance ETH, then the liquid stake Sol as well as USDE, which all of the three assets depegged. They paid 200 something mil back to the users. Now BNB on the chain side is paying back people who lost money on airdrops. It's quite interesting to see how loose Binance is with their funds, just to make sure everyone stays positive towards them and aligned within their ecosystem. And it probably also shows, if you look at the price action, how close BNB is still to all-time high. I mean, it was the only token who reached a new all-time high despite everything that went on Friday. Went back yesterday on the pump to 1,370-ish. And so obviously it's down 8% of the day, but it's still at almost 1.2K, $1,190, larger than XRP. And they're doing everything to maintain this position right now, including dropping millions to users if need be.
Ryan, do you think what is that the state of? Like, that's not normal, right? In a normal market, I don't think people are typically just compensating loads of people with $50 million or so. Like, should we be reading anything more into that? So it's the state of the market. That's my kind of instinct to kind of read into that a bit more. But what's your view?
To be honest, for me, it's like your typical traditional CSR, your corporate social responsibility sort of thing. If you just think about it, what happened in the last 48 hours, we had that backpack news that went viral, right? With like the 40K people who essentially deposited their money, it didn't show up in their account because they were paying the balance debt to the company, and essentially the tweet went viral. Like, people were hating a lot, even though, and like the founder Armani came and said that it was just like 40K wasn't a big amount, but the people were like, oh, it's not the amount, it's the principle behind it. So if you take that on one level, and then you on another level, you see Binance being like, hey guys, don't worry, we got you. You lost money, here's some extra money. It's like a pretty, like, I mean, like, these tactics are used in like regular businesses all the time. And I think like with BNB prices pumping and everything, they're focusing on that and stuff. Like, I'm not surprised. I don't think there's anything flagging for me, but I would argue it just like shows that they're like really willing to put in like this marketing dollars or whatever you want to call to like focus on customer acquisition and keep them, which I don't think is a bad thing. Clearly the environment has gotten very competitive. If anything, it shows that Binance knows that there are more people coming in the market. So if anything, this is good for the consumer.
Interesting. I kind of I feel like it's a late stage thing for this to be happening. I feel like early on, people or chains or whoever don't feel the need beyond like a normal airdrop. They don't feel the need to do this kind of thing. I think two things. One, it expresses the serious competition that they're in with other people right here, right now. Obviously, there's like BNB or Binance versus Hyperliquid as like the bigger competition going on. But I also think it's almost like I don't know this certainly, but my instinct is that there's some element of desperation to it, where it's like, BNB season always happens towards the end of a cycle anyway. There's an element of desperation of just like throwing money at the people who've just lost a ton of money. Like, don't leave just yet. Like, one more, you know how it's kind of like how everyone wants the cycle to extend all the time, and it gets to the point where they're supposed to take profits and they'll just think, oh, just a little bit more. Or it's like they had said, I'm going to take profits in Q4. Now Q4 is here. They're just like, oh, maybe it's going to go to Q1. Like, can we please just extend it a little bit more? It gives me that kind of vibe, if I'm being honest. And for me, it's just like another extension of this continuous set of events, none of which in isolation I can say this is incredibly bearish. Just like more things which adding up, which make me feel that we're in some kind of top-ish environment.
I can't wait for Phunky. Phunky's going to come in at any moment. I can already hear him sitting on my shoulder and being like, what the hell's wrong with you guys? What's like this bear market energy? Like, I can feel it.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Probably. But the thing, I mean, maybe we'll talk about it in a bit, but I've been speaking a lot about how I think the market is a political utility in some respect. And okay, the midterms are next year. And actually, if you think about it, people think that means, oh, okay, it's next year, like we just go up, and because they want to pump it before the midterms. There might be a reasonable case to be made, which someone was showing in the chat today. Rootnord was showing in the chat today, which is like a smart idea I hadn't really considered, that maybe they don't care about the midterms. Maybe historically there's enough evidence to suggest that people don't care about the midterms as much. And, they're just going to have to really fix it towards the end. But B, even if they did care about the midterms, it's a really long time away, like a whole year, when Trump has the ability to tweet something on a Friday evening and move the whole market. A year's a long time for him to keep doing that every time there's some kind of tailwinds in the economy, or if there's any challenge. So I'm very open to the idea that we could go reasonably lower here. And look, I might be wrong, but I'm just expressing an idea. I'm open to the idea we could go reasonably lower here. And then if they care enough about the midterms, pump it, like, I don't know, at some point next year. Like, I'm very open to that idea, which I've been considering, because you can't just do this thing where you tweet every Friday and then say that it's fine every Sunday and think that the market is just going to keep ripping up in that same way. Curious for your thoughts on this idea, Ledge. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that kind of also leads us into the first headline, because I very much
why don't you just go there with it?
Very much agree with that. So just to put it in perspective and cover the first headline, which is to do that the Hyperliquid whale is short the market again, and is doing very well by being short. Current figures, just 1 hour before the show, he was up on his short 22 point something mil without any signs of taking profits there, and has expressed his views across quite a few posts, which I found interesting to read. Where is the one that I want to point out? This one, which is crypto investors should learn from traditional finance rather than relying solely on narratives and personal emotions when making investment decisions. That, a quick side note here, exactly connects to what you've been saying before, B, which was to do with the amount of people flipping back and forth between being bullish and bearish on a daily basis, and just their narratives following the price action. Let's never forget the damage the post continues of the October 11th crash caused to the industry. If the industry does not improve, such events will happen again. And if we as investors remain immature, we will continue to suffer asset losses, which basically is the reality of seeing multiple wipeouts, liquidations, quote unquote black swan events almost every cycle. And almost every cycle there will be people overexposed to certain things and will be hit by that. And then the other post that I wanted to quote, which is more to do with the conversation before, view on the market and his positioning on that, saying the client holds a large amount of spot assets, which in itself supports the industry. While we don't want to see prices fall, the objective reality is that the conditions for a sustained upward trend are not present. And then you just shared a third post.
Yes, I wanted to go through this one. So it's interesting to read through his various
quick
ideas. So this is the outline of why this entity is bearish. And to be clear, Legendary, is this correct? This person is not an individual. He's said that he is operating for a client.
Yeah.
And the client is the person that has all of this this Bitcoin. The client is the person that wants to go short all of this thing. He holds a huge amount of spot assets and then wants to hedge by going short now. I think they even went as far as to say that they're kind of long-term bullish, but in this specific moment here and now, they're short. So this is what he had to say. And I think it's worth reading all of it, because it's just it's kind of holistic. It's not just crypto. Said, number one, the recent US equity rally has been driven by leveraged funds, which are now in the process of deleveraging. Number two, AI-related meme stocks, which were heavily hyped, have already gone lower ahead of the market last week. Number three, US private credit is starting to default, with private debt funds continuing to decline. Number 4, AI development is constrained in the short term by power limitations. And number 5, AI investments have shifted from cash flow based funding to debt based funding, with Oracle as the dividing line. While we cannot precisely predict the peak or timing, the risk reward of going long is no longer favorable. So that's the general set of thinking here. Lej, curious for your immediate thoughts on like your reaction to that. Then want to hear from Rahim as well.
Yeah, I like parts of that thesis quite a lot. The counterpoint to that would be people on the timeline taking the position. I'm going to give my personal opinion in a bit, that it's similar to what we've seen in March 2020, and after that crash, we've seen altcoin markets rally. The counterpoint from an AI perspective would be to say the entire world is deploying such an incredible amount of resources into progressing AI, getting to a first AGI model, because this is the new fight for world domination, the hegemony when it comes to being the leader in AI. And that is essentially a fight going on between the US and China, because no one else can muster the resources it takes to win or even have a realistic chance or shot at winning this fight. So that would be the counterpoint to that. But I especially like the last sentence in this post, which is, while we cannot precisely predict the peak or timing, the risk reward of going long is no longer favorable. And if I think about like risk reward ratio, and if I think about my own personal portfolio and how much money and profits that has generated this year and profits that I've taken already, I very much like the idea of not being long on a tremendous amount of assets and not being long with a tremendous part of my portfolio. Yes, my robotics, my AI plays are still on, but again, they are a relatively small part of my portfolio. And I am now, as I said, more interested in capturing volatility, doubling down on LPing, especially when I can do that in connection with potentially farming a Project X airdrop, farming another unit, farming a unit or another Hyperliquid airdrop. So having this like additional layers of incentives while I'm doing something that I consider to be hugely profitable, which, you know, one of the positions that I talked about on the show, being an LP between gold and stablecoins USDT 0 on Hyperliquid, where essentially I am more than 90% of that LP, and that is making 40% or so a year. I like dollars, I like gold, don't mind having either, earning 40% on that while accumulating a ton of points for Hyperliquid. Like, these sort of positions are the one which you want to have in the market. Now, in the long term, I generally still also remain bullish. And in case that I am wrong and everything is ripping and we go completely crazy again, then I'm very happy to basically accept that loss, quote unquote, and buy back in on the way up a bit later. But for now, I just don't want to be long everything.
What are the assets where is it just Bitcoin that you're like, okay, well, if I'm wrong, then this thing will go higher and my portfolio will still have the right amount of crypto core exposure? Is it just Bitcoin then that is expressing that, you know?
My Bitcoin position hasn't changed at all. Like, I don't mind. But whatever happens with BTC happens with BTC. This is a multi-year hold for me. Except like for the smallest bit where I told you, you know, that I'm borrowing against it, I'm trading that. But like 90% of my BTC position, 80% of my BTC position doesn't do anything. It's just there and it's sitting. It will sit over the next couple of years. And I still have my BTC savings plan on, which has been running for, I don't know, 6-7-ish years by now. And it's like buying a certain amount of BTC each and every week. And I've never touched that that savings rate. Basically, it's been going on for years, and that's not going to change. It's more for the rest of the portfolio. I'm like, I don't want to acquire additional ETH right now. I don't want to buy Solana. I don't want to increase my Hyperliquid position. Again, I sold some more Hyperliquid at $40. Not because I think it's over for Hyperliquid, but just because I don't want to have this risk on position now and basically increase the stablecoin part of my portfolio again. Like, not even increase it, because I bought so much gold with the stables but I'm kind of counting the gold part to the stable part, because gold is not going to crash. So the gold plus stable part of my portfolio has been increasing again, but BTC remains unchanged. And the like super risk on bets where I think that there's some asymmetry with the robotics and AI stuff, they are still on. So if that works out, that barbell end of the portfolio will still have a massive swing upwards. It's just this middle part that I'm not really interested in too much right now.
Okay. What I hear from Rahim on this topic as well, on the extent to which, I don't know, the extent to which we're feeling a little bit overextended here. Also, would be curious your thoughts on the 4-year cycle, Rahim. A lot of people are saying that it's a lot of people saying there's no 4-year cycle anymore. Some may call it some type of super cycle. I want to hear your thoughts on that, and then Phunky's got his hand raised. We'll go to him too.
Yeah, I think I pretty much like aligned on a lot of things Ledge said. We've been talking about like how more and more I'm going on like the conservative side. I've talked about that gold is like one exposure that I don't have as much as I should have. So I've started moving a lot. Been buying a lot of gold. What's interesting is one of the things I literally wrote on my diary yesterday, which I want to like dive deep into, because I do think that there is some asymmetric opportunity when it comes on the AI and robotics side, just because I feel like, and maybe this is because my media is like so skewered to Web3, I feel like there was a point where there was like a lot of funding that was going into AI infrastructure overall, and I think it was peaking, and I feel like that kind of went quiet, and markets haven't crashed on that front. And I think that's interesting to me, because like I'm like, does that indicate like what's happening in the broader markets when people are raising for like AI ecosystem products and stuff? Are people like still funding that? Because it seemed like, you know, the overarching focus of everyone is like on the Web3 side of things, or maybe my media is screwed, that even governments, like they're constantly talking about like, oh, BT's exposure, this and that, and Web3 side of things, when I think one of the other races that they have to compete in is actually the AI race. So I want to look more on like the traditional AI funding tech side of things. It's literally been on my radar. But yeah, I pretty much like agree. I think a lot of like the upside, just going back to Garrett's article, I think a lot of the upside is too risky, especially with like, man, like this whole, like, forget the cycle thing. You have like anyone who, like, you have the president, when he tweets something, he says something, and like markets just like fluctuate up and back. And you have to realize when these liquidations are like massive, like you can't have people just like standing up all the time. This will taper on how much they will come back from their losses. Everyone has like limited amount of money, and I think the cycle concept is like, I think it can skew based on, in my personal opinion, on based on like time frames where the bulls get longer, or the bears get like shorter or longer and stuff. But I think this is like, it has less to do with like technical cycles, but it's also like at some point, if you have so much volatility in the market at such insane levels, people are going to start running out of money. People are start going to be like conservative about it, where people are like, you know what, I want to keep in stables and stuff. I do think like just focus on like the news, look at the broader news, what's happening, and use that as a metric, not like this random timelines.
I think we're seeing it already. Like, I think we're seeing it. People like ourselves are feeling it, and there are other people feeling it as well. It's just like, look, when you start to look back, or you start to reflect over the last couple of years, then at some point on a human level, you start to look at the numbers and it's just like, you know what, I might have to tap out here. I might have to tap out here. I might have to be responsible. It's been a good run. I think that's what's happening a little bit. And sure, maybe some institutions are coming in to pick up that slack, and they've got to kind of allocate in a world that's inflating, where the dollars are inflating all the way. And so they can come in and pick up some of that, which means that hopefully the volatility of those best crypto assets will go down as some people secure their profits. You've got institutions kind of coming in and taking up the mantle. But yeah, okay, Phunky, your hand is raised. Resident Bitcoin Maxi here. We're getting a little bit too bearish here in the short term, medium term, and long term. What's your view?
GM, I was dying when Rahim was saying earlier that he expected me to just come crash the stage and start saying, be bullish. But it's been an excellent conversation this morning. Sorry I couldn't be more part of it. But I really didn't know that the Hyperliquid whale had been coming out and actually doing this. And I think really underscores just the difference in mindsets between TradFi and most of us who have been in this space for a long time. Sort of the maturity of an investment decision-making process, you know, how it's almost like your insurance policy be that you've been talking about for so long, but just at a, many orders of magnitude higher? And I think that there's a lot to be said about that post that you guys unpacked. I do, and I know we touched on the political situation we were talking about this morning, and I do wonder how much that is going to continue to impact the market moving forward. I would hope that, the whole tariff game stops, this whole back and forth. It's getting to be a bit much. And so I do think, I'm very hopeful that moving forward into 2026, we still have some slow grind upwards. I don't think, and you look at sort of the logarithmic chart, maybe this is just the beginning of the diminishing returns, right? You look at the rainbow chart, maybe we never get back to orange. Maybe it just gets yellow and that's the top at 150 or whatever. And it's just going to be this slow grind onward and upward to the right over a longer period of time. And we're just not used to that from previous, especially if you've been around for the past couple cycles and you saw what it was like, and the volatility were just ripped in ways that maybe we don't see again. I don't know, but great conversation today, guys.
Yeah, interesting view. Obviously, we don't know anything for certain here. We say that all the time. The thing that just is continuously befuddling and just kind of hurting my brain is what's going on with gold, right? It's the thing which is most concerning. It's the thing which is just not making a great deal of sense to anyone in a world which usually the safe haven asset when things are going bad, but just everything ripping at the same time, including gold, makes me think we actually need to redenominate everything. And when we pull up all of these charts, we should be pulling them up in gold to know if we are actually making any money or not. Because I actually don't think a lot of these assets are making any money. We think we are because we're denominating in dollars for now, but if you look at them against gold, it's not really the same picture. So, okay, did we take a view? Just quick round the table here then. Legendary and Rahim, are you with the whale for now, or are you not, Ledge?
Yeah, if I have to put it in one sentence, I am with the whale.
Rahim?
I'm with the whale.
I'm actually with the whale as well right now. I've been continuously saying that. I really like the idea, well, someone said it this morning and I kind of was building on it. The idea that, okay, even if midterms are quite far away, and maybe that is something they want to try and push the markets towards, I think it's a long time. It's a long time until then. Fair, I get it. We've just been liquidated really aggressively. I do get that. But it comes back to the other side of things. Like, okay, fine, that's on one side. Where's the bid? Where's the bid coming from immediately? The DATs are exhausted. Bitmine bought a ton again, and then ETH just sold off again on top of them. So it's just the question that needs to be answered. There needs to be a bid, guys, in order for it to go. And who you should ideally be able to point towards who that person is. Everyone just keeps saying, because in the past, okay, when these things, it's going to chase risk. We're going to, as interest rates come down, we're going to chase risk. We're going to chase risk. Okay, which risk? Because it sounds like right now, if the dollar is going to devalue, you could just buy gold and it's going to double in the next year or something. Like that's the trajectory that's on. So if you can do that with gold, do people need to go down further the curve? Sure, okay, they will, but they've actually stopped doing that with memes, for example. So it's not the case necessarily that people will just go further and further down. The meme activity is way less than what it was, last year at this exact same time of the year. So stuff to think about. And I do think Bitcoin's in its own bucket here. I'm with Ledge in the sense that, I ideally want to just keep that, don't want to do anything with that. And then just play around with the rest of the proportions. But hopefully this is a helpful conversation, guys. We are trying to manage this stuff as the world is throwing a variety of complicated things at us. So hopefully it's an interesting conversation, irrespective of which way you decide to go. Let's get into the second headline, though, which again is to do with all of this stuff. Just updating with what is going on in the world, because I don't, when all this stuff's going on, I think it's hard to keep track of this stuff. So, two things. One, Trump is on track to meet Xi in South Korea, Besant said. This was in the early hours today. Obviously, that is important because the market seems to really, really want to react to any time they say they're not going to meet or something bad is going to happen or that they're not getting along, then the market thinks that's bad. Anytime that they say, nope, it's actually fine, do not worry, we do get along. Xi is a nice man, and whatever else Trump says, then the market responds positively. So this meeting is going to happen allegedly towards the end of October, confirmed by Bessent, Treasury Secretary Bessent. And so that is good for now, but you got to keep an eye on that, because if that meeting doesn't happen, then again the market's going to be braced for like, okay, well, what if this doesn't take place? So again, keep that on your radar. The second thing to keep on your radar is Fed Chairman Powell addressing the economy. We'll be addressing the economy today in a meeting in, I believe it's Philadelphia. So he'll be talking there today. And this will be his last remarks before the Fed's next meeting, with the economy enjoying stronger than expected growth and recent jump in productivity, but still, I think, adjusting to the tariff and immigration policies that economists are worried about as it relates to inflation and higher unemployment. So that meeting will take place today, or the chairman will be speaking at, I think, 12:20 Eastern time. So again, the market's going to do what the market does, right? It's going to listen to every single word that Powell says. Is there any indication that rates are going to come down or something? That's what they're looking for. My estimation would be that in a non FOMC meeting, it's not going to be that. He's not going to say anything like market moving, in my opinion, although who knows. I think the kind of more concrete decisions on interest rates will be revealed at the actual FOMC whenever that happens this month. So that's my thoughts. And then just for a heads up, the Fed, so an update, consumer prices now scheduled for October 24th. And then I think the Fed meeting again on the 28th of October. So that's still a bit of time away, a couple of weeks. So that's that. Ledge, before we move on to the final headline, any reflections on what is going on in the Fed? Any reflections of what's going on with China? I know these are kind of two disparate, these are not necessarily connected, but they're just events that are happening to keep on top of, because they are clearly meaningful for the markets.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of like with the China thing, we had this tariff war in spring, and people were saying we're getting numb to tariff news. We're getting numb to tariff news. Whatever Trump says, it won't matter anymore. And now that the tariff war seemed resolved, basically, he came back to that topic. And of course, it impacted the market, because there was a couple months break where the market thought, oh, we are safe from tariff news. So this will be a recurring topic. And we said it back in spring, and I'm saying it back in October again. This is not the last time during Trump's presidency that we will talk tariffs, that they will impact the market. So that's just an extra bit of volatility to keep in mind. The thing I've been thinking more about is, in the world where this statement is true, what are like Trump independent assets? And maybe like that is another reason why many people want to flee into gold right now, including like other central banks stockpiling gold. And then the other thing was on the Fed news, you know what thought came to mind? That we're still in government shutdown. US government is still in shutdown mode. I just checked Polymarket to see the current odds. 26% think it's going to last longer than November 16th. 7% think like, or maybe like more than 50%. Let's aggregate these odds. What is it? 14, 27, 33, 40, 66%. Yeah, I'm not sharing it because it's not too interesting to see that. 66-ish% think it's going to last into the first week of November, or even later than the second half of November. So that is maybe something that, again, adds more uncertainty to the market, because we're lacking data that we would be expecting and that we would receive otherwise. And as soon as this reporting will go back, then I assume we'll see some more volatility. And maybe as a result of that, yes, I know it's not an FOMC meeting, but still Powell is speaking. So people will try to find some sort of market guiding sense in his words. And I do expect to see some volatility from that, despite not being an FOMC meeting.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I think all of this stuff we've got to keep on top of. This is all going to be very important. It felt like we moved away from the president's market meme a little bit, and he just brought it all the way back, like right back on top of what he has to say all the time Trump watch again, basically. So we'll keep an eye on that. Rahim, in the last 5 minutes of today, unless you have anything to add to that part of the conversation, let us know what we need to know on Monad, which is coming out. Well, might not be coming out today. There's some type of claim today. What do we need to know? What do we need to be aware of? And how should we be excited about this big launch?
Yes, let's do a TLDR of like why Monad is hype. What is it? So they essentially were known to have raised $244 million in 2024. The biggest crypto raise back then, led by Paradigm. So ever since, they've had a lot of buzz. They're solving for the three trilemmas that a lot of chains are focusing on, which is decentralization, scalability, and security. So that's been their focus. On a technical layer, quick one, like how they differ from like Ethereum mainnet is essentially they're focusing on running transactions simultaneously, unlike Ethereum, which does one transaction one after the other. And like they're focusing on, okay, we want to do the consensus before the execution, so just we can get like faster speeds. So that's on the tech front. They are building a lot of like DeFi infrastructure, NFTs, gaming ecosystems. They have a Kinsu, which is like a liquid staking platform that they've talked about. Kuro, which is like a DEX, like an order book. So they have like a lot of things. They're kind of looking into different verticals of the industry. They are opening their claim in about an hour and 3 minutes. It's important to note that this is just the claim. There's no indication that, oh, you need to go claim it and like, you know, you need to sell your airdrop or buy your airdrop or whatever that is. They mentioned that this is open, I believe, until the first week of November. I saw it on a different tweet. So don't rush. Take your time. With things like this, there are a lot of scams going around. There was a message I saw from one of the team members that there are people buying ads on Telegram into like getting you into scamming you into following a link that you shouldn't be clicking. So nothing is based on, it's not a time sensitive matter. Take your time. Claim whatever you are getting. Be grateful for whatever you have. You don't need to follow on the timeline just for the heck of it, but be careful because this is one of the most high, everyone's in like a very emotional state. And I made the video about this yesterday that I feel like whenever you have a very strong emotional response to what's happening in the market, it's an indication of what your investment strategy is. So I know everyone's hoping, whether it's their Monad cards or whatever, to make like generational wealth or whatever, but be grateful, take your time, take a pause, and like claim it, not in an urgency.
Be grateful. What are you talking about? Yeah. Okay. So to be fair, this is trading. I think we've got the pre-markets open at the moment on Hyperliquid.
It's trading at around 7 billion, and it was ranging at like 12 to 13 on most of the days, but it has seen like massive volatility. Of course, we saw the big crypto crash, which is why you see that big red candle. But super interesting to see that the average, they were trading around like 12 to 13 billion after launch.
Damn, people are shorting the market right here, right now, as we talk, I think. Okay. So still a pretty one of the bigger launches, right? Launching at around 7 bill, it looks like, at least now. And as you say, it doesn't look like the token will be tradable right here, right now. Looks like there's some type of claim process, which will last some time. Ledge, any view as to any view on the claim process, any view on the valuation here on Monad? Is this something that you might, you know, assuming that they're going to want to attract capital? Everyone wants our capital at the moment. So many things, so many directions the stablecoins are getting pulled. Is this something you want to allocate towards potentially? We'll see what the rules are for it.
Couple of thoughts. Not really. It's not something I've been following in the Monad versus Mega ETH battle. It's pretty clear that my heart's closer to Mega ETH, and not only my heart, my bags, my bad buns collection, my everything is closer to Mega ETH.
Well, you've had a way to express that though, by buying some NFTs.
Exactly.
But you haven't necessarily had a way to do that. Like if something existed on Monad that suddenly gave you that opportunity,
I'm not interested. Otherwise, I would have spent time learning about Monad and trying to get some sort of advisory positions with some of the companies launching there, but just wasn't out of the two the ones that interested me more. The thing that I find a bit amusing is that intern who's working with Monad needs to post a how to claim guide for what is supposed to be an airdrop. And it's not only Monad, so I'm not blaming them really. But this space is moving into the direction of like adding more and more hurdles to claiming an airdrop. And a part of me, a cynical part, can't help but think that this is all of a like psy-op to kind of make people not able or miss their airdrop and make them not able to claim it, to just artificially reduce the amount of float on the market to be able to pump the price a bit higher. Again, it's not only them, it's others as well. So there's this a trend that I've been observing, and I remember the days when you know, just get an airdrop in your wallet. And I understand that from tax perspective, many countries it's not the best, but there was also a time when you would go to a website, connect your wallet, and just claim a damn token, and that's it, and not putting people to I don't know how many like hoops and hurdles and challenges to get their damn tokens.
It's a fair point. It's actually a complete oxymoron, isn't it, to say an airdrop claim? Like an airdrop is not a claim is not an airdrop. These two things do not go together. Having said that, I don't mind it, guys, because I don't think necessarily people deserve tens of thousands of dollars or at least a few $1,000s for literally just pressing a button. Like they're like, look, we're going to give you thousands of dollars potentially, and I hope that it is something meaningful. But in exchange, you need to jump through some hoops, and then you decide: do you want the few $1,000s or do you not want the $3,000? If you do, then jump through the damn hoops. If you don't, then don't jump through the hoops. Actually, I'm not opposed to the concept that like, okay, this is a part of our marketing budget. We do expect like something from you in exchange. Maybe the term airdrop is kind of dated now, and like that just shouldn't be the word used for it anymore. Because it's clearly just part of a marketing spend, isn't it? That like, look, yes, there'll be a marketing spend. Maybe there's going to be something you've got to do to get to make your claim rather than it being an airdrop. So not opposed to that. Any follow up here? Rahim, you want to come in, express anything? Do you think you got your Monad card? It's going to be generational wealth for you. What do you think?
No, firstly, I've just come to this point in my life where I have like zero expectations. Like I don't want to go to the highest of highs, lowest of lows. Like, you know, going back to what you were saying, whatever I get, whatever I don't get, like I'm completely okay with it. It is funny. I feel like your life principles are like leaking into your ability, everything that you do in this space. Because I know you've been talking about like slowing down things a lot, and you believe in that you're like, you know what, if you want to make me juggle and like skateboard to claim that airdrop, I'm fine with it. Just make it slow, I'm fine. Whereas everyone's just like, this is taking too much time, let's be quick. But it's hilarious. Don't ever change BTech.
to be fair, yeah,
see the response to that though on platforms like Kaito, where you have all these sort of airdrops, and then they even integrated a swap feature because they know what people are doing, where they're like $200 here, $100 there. And then it gets to an amount where I'm like, I can't even be bothered to claim that. Like I would pay a 30% fee if I can, you know, claim in one click 5 airdrops and like insta sell them. So there is an understanding of what happens with these marketing spend airdrop tokens.
I think you're actually right though. Like the thing I like about it, or the thing that I'll never begrudge the team for then, is if you give people the chance to make a decision. Like, look, here are some hurdles you got to jump through, but you've got time. Like, okay, you've got until November to do it. That's okay. Some of the stuff that was going on with the Kaito drops was like really, really shady. It was like, okay, claim's going to be tomorrow. Register in 1 hour. The window's open for 2 hours. If you miss it, sorry, all of the tweets you've ever done or something is like no longer eligible. So like, you know, that's kind of pernicious, right? Whereas, you know, if people tell you what you need to do and you have the time to do it and you can do it in a relaxed way, then I'm not entirely opposed.
Yeah, Wallchain did the same, right? The Kaito competitor posted 22 hours ago that add your wallets by October 15th, 1 p.m. UTC. You're not here for 48 hours. You're basically cooked. You missed that window.
Oh wait, so is this one that's open then, basically?
That is the Kaito competitor, and this is now live. You basically have until tomorrow to add wallets there, unless you know, you don't want any sort of tokens from whatever, else they will come your way.
Okay, so maybe go and add your wallets to Wallchain. Is it Wallchain? Okay. Do
Quacking.
that. Nice call to action towards the end of the show. Maybe get some free tokens, maybe not. But guys, that's our show for today. Hope you enjoyed it as always. Just a reminder, we're seeing some big numbers. We've got 2.5K on the video. We've got pushing 200 in the spaces, or we did at some point. We do this every single day, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern time, live on X and X video. You can catch us on YouTube as well. And we upload to Apple and Spotify podcasts if you prefer to listen in over there. Thank you to my co-hosts, Legendary and Rahim. And thank you to Phunky and Oxy for their contributions as always. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Take care. We'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye.